I don't know enough to argue my point, but I still feel I'm right.
Well, you're not.
Hello and welcome to the Decade Old Podcast with me, Connor Curie, Gloria Shannon,
Hello.
Richard Travers,
Hell yeah.
and Karen O'Sullivan.
Hi.
And on this episode, we're covering 4 movies from the second quarter of 2008. And the 4 movies we're going to be covering are WALL-E, The Happening, Rogue, and the Sex and the City movie. And the first movie we're covering on this episode is WALL-E, directed by Andrew Stanton. And guys, I think this is my favourite Pixar movie.
Not my favourite.
Yeah, not my favourite.
Well, it's probably not my favourite either.
Well, what else would be in the pantheon? What, Toy Story 2?
Yeah, Toy Story and
Ratatouille.
Yeah, Ratatouille.
Incredibles.
Like, I don't know about Incredibles. I watched Incredibles 2 the other day.
Oh, shut the fuck up!
I didn't give you any spoilers. I said I watched
That's
it.
enough for me.
Isn't the Incredibles DreamWorks? Or is that Pixar?
Are you
Pixar.
fucking high?
I don't know, I've never seen it. So I
It's
don't know.
Pixar. They had the little lamp and everything. It's Pixar.
It's Pixar.
Alright. You know, there's like this famous lunch that the Pixar guys had like in the early 90s where they came up with basically the plots for their like next 4 or 5 movies that were going to carry them into the early 2000s. And one of them was Toy Story they were completing, one of them was WALL-E,
Bug's Life.
Bug's Life,
Incredibles and Finding Nemo.
yeah.
And Ratatouille. But like, Wally was like hyped up as like the magnus opus. Like, this is the one, like, they said, and this is going to be the one when we're, you know, really fucking big. This is going to be the one that make Pixar
I think
mad.
WALL-E is nice for grown-ups, but I tried to watch it on 3 occasions last week with a bunch of children and that had already seen it once and they did not want to watch it. So, for the fact that it's meant to be targeted at children, it wasn't a very good review that they were like, oh, but it's a bit boring, oh, but it's a bit...
I honestly thought
Really?
the adults would have harder time sitting through the no dialogue scenes
Yeah,
than the
see,
kids.
that surprises me. It seems like a movie tailor-made for kids because it's so dialogue light.
Yeah, but dialogue light usually like that are successful is usually more like Tom and Jerry where there's a load of violence and smashing each other with frying pans. WALL-E's a sweet movie. It's a very sweet movie.
He still does funny things like it's
Yeah,
brass in his head
there-
and stocks and bins and all this.
There's
like.
a couple of funny bits,
Not a
but
slapstick.
they I don't know, they just didn't want to. I had to go watch it by myself. They didn't want to watch it.
Alright, I find that so
So
surprising.
that's
You would
it.
think
A 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old who had seen it before and didn't want to watch it again. So that's all I'm saying. Like,
do you not find something like almost frightening about how Pixar just has the whole eye thing down to a science? The way
well,
the characters,
I think
yeah, I mean literally just the eyes. How much they express in just their eyes. It almost scares me.
well, it's pretty impressive. When
I
they're
mean,
able
you're
to do
talking
it with
about
a robot.
characters that tell the story and express themselves 90% with their eyes.
But you have to be good at that, like. I mean, you can even do it with Wallace and Gromit and they're fucking Play-Doh, like. They're really good at that shit.
The second you see WALL-E, you know he's male. And what else do you...
True.
Well, his name's
You-
I
Wally.
never
like.
thought of
Well,
it
what
before.
else,
Yeah,
what
you
else do you
kind
get
of.
from him other than...
Yeah, but
his
is that
eyes and-
like Richard said? Is that not more because his name's Wally, and how many girls would you ever know that are called Wally?
Okay.
Wally.
Well,
And
no.
I don't know how to explain it, but his voice sounds. I know that like his
It's
voice is very
mechanical
monotonous and
but
all,
still.
but it still sounds more. It doesn't sound like Siri. It sounds like a male. Wally, whatever.
Yeah.
It sounds male when he says it. It doesn't
But then
sound.
he also never says Wally, his own name, till much further in the film. You've
Yeah,
gotten
true.
through until Eve or Eva turns up before you know that.
He's
Yeah.
but
But you still
you know
kinda
he's
know.
Wally.
But the second she shows up, you know she's female as well. It's just it's scary. They have this fucking character design thing down
Yeah,
to
but
a science.
Eve again.
Yeah.
Eve is a
yeah,
very
she's
female-
Okay,
I
well,
would-
take the names out of it though, because in fairness,
Yeah, but that has a lot to do with it. How, like, if I said my friend Connor, no one knows whether you're non-binary, whether you're a man, female, what you are, but they know from your name that like 99% positive you're a man because your name's Connor.
Okay, well, I feel like the whole name thing is just a little bit of a red herring because I mean it's in the title of the film.
Whereas if their name was Alex or something, or
But it would
I
be
don't know,
Ricky.
Chris, like, or yeah, it's just something that's like, you know, that could be boy or girl. That's fair enough.
But
But
it's-
Wally,
But it's also just as likely from designers who aren't as talented to name their robot Wally and not good enough and are not good enough to give him male characteristics.
Yeah. I suppose you
So-
do. There is a lot of characteristics there would make you think. What
And then
he is
once you
male.
see Eve, like she's so minimalist. Like what the hell is it about her? But yet you still know instantly she's supposed to be female.
Because she looks like a Mac.
what makes you think Macs are females?
Because apples are like the fertile fruit that a woman ate.
I just
No.
wonder what this.
And her name's Eve, for fuck's sake.
I just wonder what the signifiers are for femininity. Is it because she's like curved or something like that?
Damn.
And I don't
I
know.
think
Well,
again, a
yeah,
lot of
he's
that
all
is the
very
sound
straight
she
lines
makes.
and
Yeah.
stuff, and she's more roundish.
That's what I'm thinking.
She
Yeah.
looks a bit like a butt plug as well. Wally just kind of looks like a box with goggles.
Why would a butt plug make you think of a girl?
That's a butt plug, sorry. Those pocket rocket yolks. You know what I'm on about? Like, you know, women have them in the purse. It kind of looks a bit like a
I
pocket
don't
rocket.
no idea what you're talking
Yeah, I
about.
don't know.
Serious?
Is this a sexual
Have
thing?
you never heard of
Because
a
you mentioned a butt plug.
Yeah, no, I got mixed up. She looks more like a fucking pocket rocket.
But what's a
Put
pocket
that fucking
rocket?
can down.
A pocket rocket is a fucking mini fucking dildo yoke that women carry around. How do you not know this?
Because I don't have one.
Yeah, but surely you've seen them, like. You've been to Ann Summers, haven't you? You've been to house parties.
I have, yeah, not really actually. I haven't been to like many house parties where they bring out sex toys, you know.
I'm gonna get
Come
the old
on.
pocket rockets.
Sure, you don't think your parents' beds at some
Do a
stage
bit
or
of
something,
do a
like.
bit of coke, bring out the fucking pocket rocket.
I've
What the
seen
fuck,
stuff like
Richard?
that happen loads.
Yeah, but
of
you're
times.
Richard.
So wait, are you just saying the reason Eve looks like she's minimal is because she's shaped like a dildo? Is that the
Yeah.
actual point you're trying
But
to
wait a
fuck's sake?
second. A dildo
And
is
she
shaped.
isn't.
A dildo is.
Not a dildo, a pocket rocket.
Yeah, but it's a, you said it's like a mini dildo, a mini like a
But they
dildo.
look very
So then it's like a tiny penis.
Dildos specifically look like knobs. Pocket rockets are a little more discreet. They're phallic shaped, but you could mistake it for like, I don't know, like a lipstick yolk.
The
or a
things you
Caesar thing,
stick
like.
into your butt when you need to poo when you're a kid. And
He's
you've
a
got
suppository.
constipation,
Who's
yeah.
got a suppository? He's a fucking pocket rocket.
Okay, I think we should get back to the movie now.
How have we turned Wally into this?
I don't know if we have. Like one of the things I know. We'll get back to the movie. One of the things I was trying to ponder is I know the way like Eve's gun is used for an awful lot of comic relief, but this is a robot designed to search for life. Yet she spins like tons of her opening secrets blowing shit up. So, why is she equipped with something that destroys when her goal is to find, like, you know, a source of life? She could easily be destroying the one thing she's trying to find.
She was built
Like-
by Americans.
It completely defeats her
She was
programming.
built by do you remember when they go up to the ship and they're all really fat and like they don't even walk, they use those.
Yeah, but all those robots, from my gathering, were built before they went to space.
Was
Right.
the Eve
Yeah.
ones built
No
before?
one built
was-
anything after the fact.
Yeah, I was just about to say maybe they've never encountered life other than themselves, so they don't. So she's like a poorly designed robot. They don't really know what. But yeah, yeah. Why would you make such a fucking destructive robot that's supposed to preserve life?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, I know a lot of it is the comedy of, like, you know, her blowing up all the stuff that Wally loves.
Well, people go and kill other people in different countries to protect other people, so like that happens nowadays, you know, they're going off to other countries to blow people up and kill people for the greater good and blah blah blah. It's just kind of another, I don't know.
She is basically something out of the iStore, right? She even looks like something
Yeah.
you would buy
From Apple.
From Apple, yeah.
She's a Mac.
And it's
She's the Mac in the future.
She's a Mac now. Mac's awesome.
When's it set? 2020?
I think 2028 or something.
Mm.
It's a good bit of fair off in the
So,
future. Anyway.
it's kind of interesting that because Apple, or at least at the time, I can't remember what the relationship is, but Steve Jobs is in some way involved in Pixar.
Oh, he was, yeah. Like
Yeah.
he started him off the ground. He got sacked from Apple. Then he got back to Apple somehow. You'd have Pixar around like Bugs Life or Toy Story 2.
But I can,
Like, already enough.
it's kind of amusing that his technology, like self-insert, would be like this thing that would be just as likely to do the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
No one ever. Everyone who's worked with Steve Jobs never really liked working with Steve Jobs.
Do you know what I really appreciated about this movie? Just one little thing is like, you know, in the massive spaceship where all the things, robots whizzing around and stuff, is like there are these little like tracks that they move upon. That might seem like arbitrary to you, but I really appreciate it. Have you ever seen like fucking Attack of the Clones or something like that, with all these millions of like spaceships? There should be like 50 fucking car wrecks like per minute.
Have you ever been to Vietnam?
I just like the little bit of effort
that they put to say
Yes.
that there is a structure to how things move around.
because normally in these sci-fi movies when you see all these spaceships it looks like a death trap, right?
But like Vietnam is like all about like 8 little Asian lads on top of motorcycles and it never crashes over there for some reason. It just works. So I can buy all these spaceships work.
So Vietnam is completely comparable to this, and there are no crashes in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So what's your view on the Pixar theory? The theory that every single Pixar movie fits into the one universe?
It's bullshit.
So how does WALL-E fit into Toy Story?
Essentially, WALL-E comes after Toy Story. So the first things of like, you know, objects becoming animated is with the likes of toys.
Okay.
And then it goes to later on where you have this company called By and Large that appear in tons of the films, which include WALL-E because they're the ones who own the spaceships that send into space. And then cars kind of come in while all the humans up in space. Cars, dust machines kind of take over the world for a while, make it even worse, but they die out, humans come back. Bugs Life then is set after WALL-E. So you know that tree that they plant in the end and you see that little
When
graphic?
the life comes back.
Yeah. That little tree is the tree in Bugs Life.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Up? Up is Pixar or is it DreamWorks?
Up is Pixar as well, it would come before WALL-E. And By and Large is the company that's buying out the old guy's land. So that's kind of the start of them gaining control of.
But that's kind of just similar to like, you know, all the Disney princesses, Disney movies all being
Yeah, it's just tons of little Easter
connected.
eggs
And
Yeah,
Ratatouille is where?
somewhere along it.
There's
like, you know,
I bet you
Inside Out,
if you search
Inside
Out.
online there'll be a
Yeah.
whole like in-depth theory
Yeah.
as to how they're all
I just know
related.
kind of the vague thing that it does exist.
Because there's loads of them for all the Disney
theory.
princesses,
Yeah.
like the shipwreck that Elsa's parents die in Frozen is the one that Ariel's swimming around in The Little Mermaid and all this kind of stuff.
I thought some old versions that I read on Wikipedia, I thought they sounded interesting. That WALL-E was originally supposed to come across these like race of like helpless sort of blob beings.
Yeah, but that's
And
basically what they are in the spaceship.
Yeah, but they
and
were
it's
supposed to be
actually
literally
scary because sometimes
they were supposed to be literally
that'll
that though at first.
that's what people will turn into.
It's quite possible, but the reason why it's so extreme is because in space you do have that lack of gravity and like, you know, other stuff. And plus, if we were allowed to ride around on chairs that moved and never had to walk, who would bother learning how to walk or run? But it's more the fact, like, you know, the mind control the machines have over them, and the fact that, like, you know, they don't even know that they have a pool. Like, you know, everything is like there's a screen in front of the
Yeah.
face, and
I found that to be a bit preachy, honestly. Like, I know I don't know, I hate all this wake up, sheeple, screens in your eyes shite.
Richard, you're just not woke.
Yeah, you know, I haven't eaten enough red pills.
The budget was 180 million and its box office was 530 million. Yeah, I guess that's pretty good, though I guess it's not gangbusters business.
It's like
Because, well, I mean, I've been kind of full of shit the way I've been doing the budget so far. You can't just subtract the budget from the box office. That won't give you the profit. Because they don't account for advertising in budgets. It's like rule of thumb is you gotta like multiply it by 2. And then that gives you some idea of what the budget could be.
yeah, but then they only count the box office. They don't count the amount they would have made on this film on merchandising.
Well, no, and they
Yeah.
don't count home video
But
releases
I
and stuff
don't
like that.
remember-
DVDs.
even now, like, if you walk into a Disney store, let's say, or whatever, you'll see like Winnie the Pooh and the Toy Story. Like, I've never seen a Wally
I've never
Teddy.
seen Wally, no.
I've never seen Wally merchandise.
I don't think
And
Wally's is merch though. Like, it's harder to make a Wally toy than, like, you know.
True, what it's essentially
Like an
a box
inside out
with googly
toy.
eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know,
like,
but
he's got all these like kind of subtle rustic designs. Like, Eve would probably be easier to make as a thing, and the human characters are the blobs. You know, like, you're not gonna get Jeff Green in a fucking, you know, plushy thing. I don't know. I would like a plushy Jeff
so
Green.
like it made money, but it wasn't the gargantuan success that Disney is only interested in, and we kind of haven't seen, or at least I don't think we've seen a Pixar movie that was as smart as Wally since. Okay, so moving on to our next film, an Australian film called Rogue, which technically was made in 2007 but was released in the United States in 2008, so it counts.
Sort of.
Yeah, that confused me because I was like, oh my god, I'm going to end up watching the wrong movie again.
There's not much to this plot, right? A bunch of misfits stranded on a tiny island with the tide rising, and they're being picked up one by one by a giant alligator.
It's a crocodile.
It's a classic monster movie scenario, no? Creature from the Black Lagoon, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it was very bare bones.
It's based off a real crocodile.
Ugh.
Yeah, there was a 5-meter crocodile called Sweetheart in Darwin in the Northern Territory of Australia. And he was this really famous crocodile apparently. But he was turning over boats and stuff. So they wanted to like domesticate him or whatever, put him in a pond or something, get him the fuck out of the way. So they tried to drag him out of the water, but via transport they accidentally killed him.
Oh.
And so when they brought his body back, they like taxidermied it and stuff. So it's still available to see today if you want.
Ew.
But that's,
But when he was turning boats over, the real one,
yeah,
was he killing people
I don't know.
and chopping them up with his...
I don't know if he
Teeth and
killed
whatnot.
anyone. But
Because if
Rogue-
not, then dragging him out and basically accidentally killing him is a bit mean.
Yeah, no, it sucks. But yeah,
No,
Rogue
he's a
is
crocodile.
based on this real crocodile called Sweetheart, which
They're
is
all
apparently
menaces.
a pretty famous legend in Australia. or at least-
Sweetheart's a bit of a weird name for a fucking
But
crocodile.
it turned out, it turned out he actually was a sweetheart. He didn't hurt anyone. He just like tipping over boats for fun.
Yeah.
And you're still a crocodile though.
I mean, they probably named him Sweetheart after the fact that they accidentally killed him.
So, this movie really scratches an itch for me because I love monster movies, but I like good monster movies. I take it you all loved it as much as I did.
No.
Yeah, it's boring.
It wasn't boring. I just don't think it was good. It wasn't gripping. I didn't
You
really care about the characters.
Yeah, you don't feel much for the characters.
True.
You don't, like...
I mean, like, you have to care about them enough to want them to live. And, like, you know, want him to go and save the girl and, like, you know...
Yeah.
These characters aren't likable or interesting, definitely. But I think the movie is good enough that you do live vicariously through the main character, and I think that's all that matters in the end. Is if you can feel his pain, then the movie works on some level.
He was fairly boring, honestly. Like.
Yeah, and it flipped too much between the blonde and the other fella to be who was the Katie and the journalist, and then even the rude boat guy and the Neil or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Well, it sets up a couple of red herrings, right? These characters who you think are going to be important, and then they turn out to be just cannon fodder for the crocodile. But I think that's a good decision.
I know, but the thing is, I didn't care. I'm like, oh, right, you're dead now. Okay.
Yeah,
I really wanted to see the American getting eaten as well. She was such a bitch.
the American.
The one who was
Yeah,
like,
the American woman.
And like, I
The
had a
American
few,
woman.
I had a few
Oh, yeah.
issues with like, especially the scene in the cave near the end. The amount of energy it took the crocodile to crawl onto that ledge, and the fact that he had the jump scare of him turning around and suddenly the crocodile was right there. There's no way that crocodile would have been able to slide off it that quickly if he physically had to plonk to get up it. You would have heard him come down. He couldn't have done it that quietly.
And he looked a lot bigger than what you were even saying that Sweetheart one was. It was like this was meant
It's
to be.
movies, they exaggerate.
I
to
know
the
they
extreme.
exaggerate and everything, but I mean, normally when they exaggerate in movies, there's like some reason as to why this crocodile is bigger. There's some reason to it all. This was just like crocodiles, you know, attack people, which I know is real life, but like it's just boring. It's just like, okay. And I thought there was going to be something, because she was like, when they were going in the boat, and she was like, oh, this is like ancient land, we're not supposed to pass here. I thought that was going to link back to something, but no,
Did she say that?
Yeah, she
it's,
did.
It's territory they're not meant to go into.
because it probably belongs to the Aborigines or something like that.
It's probably what you had kind of shot on the mountain of like. You know.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, and
I
then
thought-
your man taking the pictures of the like symbols, and I
Mhm.
thought, okay, maybe this is something that's gonna, you know, be part of the movie, but it wasn't. It was just like a random thing that happened.
I thought the locations were really cool. I thought the locations itself
Oh,
was a
this-
character.
It was very.
But and not
scenic.
only that is, I thought the film did a really good job of making you feel the conditions of this location. So they really accentuate, like, you know, the heat of it and stuff like that, and the flies and so on and so forth.
And it was very annoying when they were all climbing the rope, and then that idiot put his whole family fucking up on himself and the kid, and the stupid American one had stopped in the middle of the rope and everything. Oh, I was screaming at that. I was just like, fuck sake, you moron.
You didn't find that scene exciting?
No, because I knew what was going to happen.
With
The fact
You knew.
that they can
That the rope was
going
gonna
to hold
give.
that many.
Right.
That's a
They
given.
said it about 10 times as well. The rope's not going to hold
well,
three
you
people.
don't know
The
that
rope's
until the
not gonna
very
hold
end,
three
until
people.
there's more than one person on it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
But did you know-
As soon as she stopped, and you could see your man getting irate, I was like,
No,
oh,
you
okay.
knew the fact that something stupid was going to happen.
Also, the other guy, do you know the first guy who got eaten by the crocodile? I would have been mad at the guy who was like, I'm crossing now. Because he was only out there to John Wayne, they called him, because he, like...
Yes, he's the red herring character at the start, yeah.
But the other guy, the kind of chubby guy, or whatever...
Oh, the one with the camera?
No, not the guy with the camera. The other
guy
guy
with
who
the
helps the
ashes?
disabled... Yeah, the
Oh,
guy with the
yeah,
ashes. I would have been really pissed... If I was your man's wife, I would have been really pissed off at him, because I would have been like, he only went out there to hold you back, so you didn't get eaten, and he got fucking eaten.
I'm not following. What?
That fella with the ashes is
John
like,
Wayne
I'm going
only
across.
died because the Ashes guy tried to go into the water, and he
And then,
Oh,
and
right.
then John Wayne went out to, like...
Well, that's not his fault. He couldn't have known that was going to happen. He couldn't
Yeah,
have
but-
known that an alligator or a crocodile was going to eat him. The other guy.
They knew that their boat got
Yeah.
upturned by a crocodile.
They
But
knew.
you didn't know. You couldn't have known that a massive crocodile was going to come out of the water and snatch him up like that. That's no one's
But sure,
fault.
why did he think nobody else was just getting in the water and swimming to the other side?
They told him not to go. John Wayne tried to pull him back.
It's unrealistic. The crocodile comes out with such speed and then vanishes again.
No, have you ever seen those fuckers jump up? Oh, they can move fast.
But in the logic of the movie, I mean,
Yeah,
your
but
man
move-
couldn't have possibly known that.
In
was
the
gonna
logic
happen,
of the movie, a
Movie
fucking
logic.
crocodile upturned the boat after your one said earlier on, oh, they don't attack anything that's bigger than them, which meant that it was a bigger crocodile than the boat.
If the crocodile had eaten one person, I'd agree with you. And then, the guy, the Ashes guy started carrying on. But if he hadn't eaten anyone yet, I can't blame him for not knowing the attack was coming.
They're still fucking with fire, like.
Yeah, no,
That's like saying putting your hand near the fire. You've never been burnt, so you're not sure if you're going to get
I
burnt.
have been burned. Everyone's been burned. But very few people have been eaten by crocodiles.
I don't think he's willing to listen to you, Glow.
But you would agree with me?
I agree with
What do you
I
think?
agree with
What do
you.
you think about the
But I
crocodile?
agree with you that the wife should have been angry at him
Yeah.
as well. Like, I didn't like the characters. I think that's a big part of a monster movie. You want people to survive, and like I just felt like it was a bunch of idiots.
And what was
Well-
with the opening scene with the journalist where he's in the place
That's
and
weird.
Yeah.
your man's making him coffee and they put he puts the fly into it?
Yeah, I
Rob?
don't get that open.
Like,
scene.
what
I don't-
has that got to do with anything that goes on in the movie?
Yeah.
Like literally, I wrote my first note in this 3 minutes in already. bored.
But that's a
Because
weird.
that thing is just weird and stupid.
That's a
and
weird opening scene, and I
a
don't know
waste
what.
of my time.
I don't know what it was supposed to do for the film. So
Yeah, how
So
did-
everyone out there is weird.
the journalist, the main character, goes into a bar, right, and he orders a coffee.
Yeah, and he's on the phone and he's like saying that they lost his bags and that
And that the
he can't
service
write
here is
his
crap.
story.
Yeah, but
And the
the
service here is crap, but
but
he
the
means his phone service.
the man serving at the bar overhears him saying the service sucks, which is perfectly reasonable, right? I wouldn't take offense to that.
Yeah, but he
He
means,
means
the
the
cell
phone service.
Yeah. I know the phone service. That I know that's what he meant, right?
Yeah, but your man thinks he means the service as being
Right.
the wait service is bad.
But what I don't get
I
is
see, I was
why
wondering-
did you need to see your man putting the fly in it? Because that's just kind of like a little win for the waiter, but it has nothing. It relates. The character doesn't even know. that it happens.
He takes a sip, realizes it's funny, and throws it in the bin.
Yeah, he realizes it's funny, but he just thinks it tastes bad, and he just puts it in the bin. Like it actually, it just doesn't relate to
Yeah.
any of the rest of the
It
film
doesn't-
altogether.
It doesn't tell us anything about the main character,
and
and it makes the locals seem like assholes, right?
And you know that Neil and Katie have something going on, but you never find out what it was. And
Oh, they would date
That's-
an ex or something like that.
yeah,
some
but
bullshit.
it's just all very like it's all very just teasers, and nothing ever actually gets told. I don't know, and like they made this big deal about not sacrificing the dog, right? Siobhan, my little sister was watching with me, and when they were like, "Oh, we're going to kill the dog or sacrifice the dog,"
Yeah,
whatever,
they
she
need
was
to
like,
use the
"I'm
dog
out,
as
I'm
bait
out."
while they
Yeah,
make an escape.
and then Katie says, "Look after the dog," but then he lets the dog go at some point, and the dog just runs off, and I don't see the dog again, or am I
The dog
wrong?
gets-
We
eaten.
do. The dog ends. The dog ends up finding where Kate is,
Yeah.
and he follows the dog and hears it
Yeah,
barking.
but I don't see it I see it there, but I didn't see it
dog
at the end.
The dog then when he's in the cave gets eaten by the crocodile. Did you miss that part?
I've already
Yeah.
told you
Munch,
this a couple
munch,
times.
munch.
I might have missed that part because Siobhan was freaking out over the dog getting sacrificed.
What do you think about the crocodile itself? Because I think up until the final sequence,
I think it looks.
I think it looks great.
I think it looks very good up until all those scenes in the cave, which
Yeah,
I just don't
which
like.
just-
It was a stupid sequence.
I can't
There's
agree
no
with that.
logic in it.
I can't agree with that. I think it's a really good sequence. I just don't think the elk or the crocodile looks as good.
Yeah, but I don't
As-
think the logic makes sense either. And to me, a big part of like a monster movie that's based on what's meant to be a believable monster is for me to believe the events can happen. And a lot of that part in the cave. Now, some of it did make a lot of sense, but others just didn't. I found.
Such as
Like this, the way that the crocodile, we saw the crocodile slowly but surely. He's a massive crocodile. The amount of effort it took him about 10 different slow movements to get up on the ledge, and for them to me believe in the space it took him man to look around, see the crocodile, look back, and then the crocodile essentially on top of him is not believable.
right.
That
But
ju- that-
it had moved with lightning speed earlier on in the film.
In the water.
But
in the water.
he's too big to move fast on land, which
Okay.
is the point. He
Water,
was nowhere near
water
his
is
water.
different. You're lighter in water. You can
Yeah,
move quicker
he is
in water.
designed to move in water without making a sound. He's not designed
Okay.
to move on land, especially when it's a crocodile that big. So that was just a cheap attempt at a jump scare.
And it didn't work for you.
It didn't work
Look,
for me because
let-
up until then I could believe what this crocodile was doing.
Okay.
But let me just put it this way. It didn't scare me. It didn't move me. It
Yeah.
just didn't do anything for me. I wasn't scared. I wasn't moved. I didn't feel anything for the characters. I didn't feel anything like any animosity even towards the crocodile, except for the Neil guy was the only one I felt anything towards actually. And I
But
don't.
he's the worst of all of them.
He wasn't. He
was
was.
a jerk.
He was willing to sacrifice his life for the others.
He wasn't willing to sacrifice his life. I mean,
He
it's
crossed.
a bit of a jump to say he was willing to sacrifice
He crossed
his life.
the water by
Because that
himself.
implies he knew he was going to die, which he didn't. He was hoping he was going to survive. But he was an asshole at the start, right? He was.
Yeah, he was an asshole at the start, but when it came to it, he stood up and he.
But I
was-
can't agree that
hated.
he's any better than the others.
I'm not saying he's any better, but I just thought, like personally, I thought I was a bit like, oh, he's dead.
But the
Whereas
worst-
the other ones, I was just like, oh Jesus, they're gone. Okay.
But the worst one of all is the guy with the camera who gave me Vietnam flashbacks to my days in film school. You know,
And the
guy-
one with the Irish accent.
Oh, she was fucking.
Oh.
Oh my God, it was Oh, so bad.
Do you know what's actually funny? I looked up that actress and her name's actually Ira Ireland.
Yeah,
Yeah, but her accent
she's
was
not.
fucking
She's not
beautiful.
Irish.
She was
Oh,
fucking
well, that's
Tom,
fairly obvious.
Tom Cruise from that fucking movie Irish. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Glo. Like, even if I felt some attachment to characters, or I found it really, really scary, would have helped. But I found neither thing. I didn't find it a terrifying film.
I could have watched that alone in the dark by myself and just turned off the lights straight
No,
away
it
and gone
looked
to sleep.
nice in parts.
Okay, I don't think it's. I wasn't emotionally invested in the story or the characters, but I think it's a mechanically effective film with a really like textbook example of how to do a low budget monster, which you obscure them with framing and lighting and stuff, and up until a few wonky shots at the end, the crocodile looks really good.
Yeah, but you're
So-
looking at it for the perspective of someone who's like admiring the technical ability
No,
of
I'm actually not.
the cast and crew.
I'm actually not. I think it is an effective film. It's not an emotionally
How
resonant
much
film.
did it make?
Okay, well, the budget that I found online couldn't possibly be true. It says it was 25 million. This movie did not cost 25 million.
Australian dollars, like.
And the box office was 4 million. Who knows?
So the vast majority of people agreed with me and Karen.
Okay, so moving on to our third film of this episode, we are talking about M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong's The Happening.
It is...
Richard, explain the plot of The Happening to us.
Well, like, did you know that there's over, like, there's a species of bees and they're dying because humans and they're polluting the air, and you should read more about science, Fitzy.
Do you know there was once a point where M. Night Shyamalan, I'm just going to say M. Night. I'm just going to say M. Night. M. Night was supposed to be like the next big star director. Like, he was supposed to be another Scorsese. You know, like how Hollywood will occasionally, they'll sell a film on the back of the director. So you're going to see a Spielberg movie because it's directed by Spielberg. They tried to do that with M. Night, and it got off to such a good start, and then it went down so quickly.
Did it happen with The Happening?
Well,
Is
I
that
mean,
happening?
obviously he made his most famous film, The Sixth Sense, right? And then a couple of other good ones.
He made Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. And then it was...
He made Signs, which people like, but it's a load of shite.
Signs is shit,
It's
yeah.
shite.
But his career after Unbreakable went just like a plane crash
Looks like
down.
his career wasn't unbreakable.
But he didn't just make...
Good one.
He didn't just make bad films. He didn't just make mediocre films. He made really bad films, and they kept getting worse and worse and worse.
The one with the
At
devil
what
and
point
the
was
lift.
The Happening?
That was like his fourth or fifth really terrible film in a
Yeah,
row.
because it's bad.
So like
It is
brilliant.
Signs, The Village, Lady in the Water.
People liked Signs though. Like
I don't know why anyone
I
could
know why,
like
but
Signs.
it did. Like it was well
Can I-
received.
One of the things that got me was just, can anyone take Mark Wahlberg seriously
No.
as a
Yes, I can.
as a teacher? Not
Mark
just any
Wahlberg
teacher,
as a science
a
teacher.
science teacher.
I just can't stand his voice. I don't know why.
What?
It's just I
Why?
don't like.
No, I
What's
like
wrong
him.
with
I like him in
Karen?
Ted and stuff
Yeah,
like
but
that,
it's
and
fine and stuff
in
like that, but I just
Daddy's
know.
Home
I
and
just
like
can't
things
listen
like
to
that.
his
You know,
voice.
like Mark Wahlberg, he has the same tone and inflection throughout the whole movie. It's like, this isn't the coffee I ordered. You know, he speaks like that throughout the whole movie. He's like, no, what? No, I wouldn't do
I'm
that.
talking to a plastic planet.
Yeah, everything
I just
sounds
want
exactly
Go
the
to
same.
toilet.
He could be saying "I love you" and "I hate you," and it still
But
sounds
most
exactly
of
the same.
Every character has this weird inflection. Like Zoe Deschanel is this weird. I usually hate her. I find her fucking hilarious in here. She's this weird inflection of this really whingy voice the whole time. I'm not assholes. I had. What was it?
Oh, we'll get to that scene.
What food did she have? There's a lot of food in this movie.
Richard, there's too much to unpack in that
Yeah.
fucking scene.
I counted. Now I probably missed a few because, not fairness, the amount of brain power this film took and the amount of times my brain just wanted to shut off. The amount of times either the word happening or happen was mentioned was, according to my count, 11. Now, like I said, I probably could have missed a few along
I
the
could
way.
swear to more.
The movie is only 90 minutes long, so that's more than one mention of the word happening once every 10 minutes.
Don't forget they mentioned the whole thing about plants about 20 times, and then towards the
Oh,
end,
I
they
just
say it was the plants as if it was a big fucking reveal.
The best part is when he talks to the plastic plant.
Yes.
That is
And
bizarre.
no one explains why everything in that house is plastic. What is that about? I
You-
want to know why
No,
everything
you
is
did.
plastic.
You saw a sign. It's a show house. In America, all show houses, it's a model house. That's why everything's plastic.
I did not see that.
Did you not see the sign?
No.
Yeah, well, it's a sign. It's a model house. It's as soon as you leave the house, you see the sign. That it's a model house. It's showing you what a house could look like if you buy it.
But why do you need to have like half drunk glasses of orange juice that are plastic?
That's what they do in America.
Because it just
Have you
looks
ever seen
swollen.
the opening of Arrested Development?
No.
Like, they live in essentially a model house, and like all the downstairs is like that. It's an American thing.
Especially like the
We actually furnish show houses here.
especially like
Yeah.
when they're showing off the houses, they have these ways of like, you know, the empty houses, like this could be your home too, you know, like just plastic-ishy.
Yeah, no, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I also, maybe I missed something, but I don't understand, other than the fact that she was crying on her wedding day, why the friend, he sounds like his name's Julian, whatever, the best friend,
Mary or what's her name?
hates Zoe Deschanel.
John
like-
Little.
Yeah,
Well,
that
everybody hates
relationship
Zoe
seems
Deschanel.
weird.
She's a wreck the head.
Yeah, she's weird, but he like seems to really
Yeah,
dislike
no,
her.
I didn't
And
get it either.
you don't actually get an explanation other than they're kind of talking, and he's like, "Oh man, she wasn't really, up for something at the wedding, and she was, I walked in, she was crying, and then Mark Wahlberg's like again with the wedding day, and no one explains anything, and then you go there and she's sitting there and she's in the house and she's just all weird and distant and sorry, is tiramisu
That's
and
it.
dessert, is that a euphemism for something?
No.
Or did she just have dessert with the guy?
It's just that movie's obsessed with food. Shaman wrote it when he was hungry. Why does John Leguizamo just mention, he goes, hot dogs are actually really great, just out of nowhere.
Yeah, and he keeps
Why-
going on about them.
They talk about pancakes out
No,
of
but
nowhere, like. They just pick
But
up food
they first came up
all
with
the time.
first she kept getting these phone calls from this Joey lad, and then it was like insinuating maybe she cheated or she did something she shouldn't have done, and then she's like, we only had tiramisu once, that's it, and she hangs up, and then she tells him that she had dessert and all this, and like, I just don't understand. I don't think Aiden would care if I had dessert with somebody else.
How
Is
would
that
you-
cheating now?
No,
Did
how
I
would-
cheat on Aiden this evening because I had sticky toffee pudding without him? I don't understand what's going on.
Flo, how would you react if Aiden told you just because a woman at the pharmacy was hot, he bought a superfluous bottle of cough syrup?
What about the scene where the two kids get their heads blown off?
That
the
is
set?
hilarious! I've never laughed so,
So-
hard at a kid getting shot in the face.
So
It
they're-
is fucking
How is that
So the
funny?
characters-
It's hilarious!
What is wrong
Well,
with
okay, well,
people
first
that
off-
they would do that in the first
Well,
place?
okay, well, first off, they get the house guarded off because they don't want the air getting in.
Well, can
but
I
they
just-
have holes in the windows.
I was
to
just
fight
about
Yeah.
to
the
talk. Yeah, he was saying don't let the poisonous gas in. It's the poisonous gas, but he's got like a ventilation grid on his window, and there are holes in the window.
And to prove he's normal, he starts singing some stupid song. And then his reaction to when the kid's about to get his head blown off, his eyes pop out of his head like a fucking cartoon character. Like, no! It's fucking the funniest bit in the whole
But guys,
film.
we have got to talk about that field scene. What happened there? There's so much to unpack. I mean,
This movie just has too much stupidity for it to even be funny.
to,
It's hilarious!
to begin with,
I don't think it's meant to be funny though. I think it's meant to be like serious, thought
That
provoking.
only
Like,
makes it funnier.
we're destroying the planet. We need to fix it, or it's going to make us kill ourselves.
It was too badly done for like the man getting his arms ripped off at the zoo just looked like a bad Halloween costume. Why is the zoo even opened? At that stage, it was it Brooklyn Zoo? It's
I
so
can't-
Brooklyn Zoo, yeah. Because anytime you say Brooklyn Zoo, I
yeah,
instantly
if
think
that
of Old Dirty
happened
Bastard.
that morning, they already said that the entire state of New York was being evacuated. That zoo should have already been closed. There shouldn't have been people in the zoo to take that video.
okay, in this field scene, right, the two groups are separated, and Mark Wahlberg's group hears gunshots in the distance, so they're killing themselves. And to begin with, we get this fucking really close-up shot right up Mark Wahlberg's nostril.
But that's just Shyamalan and
That
everything.
looks
though.
so dumb. And so that happens, right? And then Mark Wahlberg somehow, it's to do with like population density,
Yeah.
right? It depends on how many people are there at once, and that's what sets off the plants. But then he says we just need to keep ahead of the wind. So is it the wind or the plants? And then the wind starts blowing, and it's like the wind is literally chasing them. So it's like, and then they stop, and the wind like encircles them. Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
It's genius.
The field scene
It's
with
like first-
all the people, or the field scene was just him and her and the kid.
When there's all the people, when they get chased by the wind.
Well, I think it's in. Okay, what I think he was trying to say though is there's a mix of both. Like, so the people set it off down the way, like let's say down the field.
Yeah.
The people set it off, but the wind
But they were
could have
no. But
brought
the wind
the
came from
poisonous
behind them.
gas.
The wind came from the opposite direction.
Oh, I don't know.
Look, will we not debate the logic of this film?
I
Because
know.
there
I
isn't
need
any?
to. Right.
What you mean? Like
So Mark Wahlberg says something to the effect of, "We should be okay because there's only a few of us, right?" And then the wind starts blowing. So is it the wind or is it how many?
Probably because. I don't know.
And then the wind starts chasing them.
What about when the crazy lady's house, when he went to her house and she went outside and she started going even more burnt than usual, smashed her head against the windows.
But what even
And then
was
everything
the
was
thing
grand
where he
after that.
found the doll? Like, there's just loads of scenes that just don't add up to anything. Remember, he walks into her room because he's trying to find her, and he just finds this doll.
I think that was
I
just
know.
trying to insinuate
And
she
why
was,
she
was
lives there
correct.
by herself and all. Like, why did that even need to happen?
I just feel like they were trying to make her like she was super crazy even without the gas or whatever. Like
There was some really
some
weird.
crazy hermit by herself.
There were some really weird edits during that part as well. Do you remember, like, it's like at night she's downstairs looking up the stairs at Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's at the top of the stairs, and she says something like, "You plan on murdering me?"
No, I don't think she's at the bottom stairs.
Yeah, she's
at
in the
end of hall.
hallway.
She's not-
But she kind of just says, "Are you planning on murdering me when I sleep?"
And then
And
it
he's
cuts.
like, "No, of course not." And
Yeah,
then she just goes to bed.
But no, it doesn't. It
Yeah.
it cuts like right then and there. There's like no emotional beat whatsoever. It's really weird.
What? No.
Yeah. You plan on murdering me? No. Cut. Next scene.
And then she's like nowhere to be found. There's a doll, and then she's out in the garden killing herself by bashing her head into the
Oh, God.
house. And Siobhan asked the question when she watched this with me as well. What is the purpose of that little pipe that's running? Do you know when he's talking
They said that it was something to do with. Oh, no, did they give an explanation for that?
Because
Very
it sounds like
convenient
he's
house
in.
phone?
He sounds
Yeah.
like they're in the
They,
same
they,
room.
they used to hide people out there or something, so there's a special pipe tunnel that goes between the two of them that kind of works as a phone. Mainly it was a backstory used for just plot convenience.
And Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel had no chemistry,
Yeah.
Oh
and
God. Yeah.
they just didn't feel like a couple at all.
This movie, it really feels like one of those Richard Winona talking about, like Neil Breen, Tommy
Yes,
Wiseau type,
it's brilliant.
with a budget and with A-list actors.
exactly.
It makes no sense. It's completely incoherent. The dialogue, the writing, everything is terrible. But it happens to be on a budget. That's really the only thing separating it from a Neil Breen film.
That
you
makes
know?
it so amazing, though. The fact that this was a blockbuster back in the day. Oh, it's so.
Did it make much money?
Budget 48 million apparently. That's what I found online, and the box office was 160 million.
Good.
So, yeah, it probably didn't lose money.
Yeah, but it
probably
probably
made a
brought
small
people in because it had Zooey Deschanel and Mark Wahlberg, and that was it.
But like, remember, this is back when Shyamalan's name was like still hot as well. Like, it's
Was
not
it
like
though?
these days when it's After Earth and.
I think actually, do you know what? I think this is the film that finally finished him off.
Well, yeah, this is probably the one that like killed him off. I only remember like back in the day. I didn't see this back when it was out. My friends did, and I was like, "What was that movie about? Was it good?" And they said, "Oh, something stupid about trees."
But like, he made more terrible films after this. But after that, it was always LOL, a new M Night Shyamalan film.
But they all got
And-
cheaper
but-
as well.
but-
apart from After
But
Earth.
before this, it was always, oh cool, a new M Night film is coming out, even though his last four. or
But
five
like, surely, Richard, you see this as a film that's like so bad that you just find it humorous.
Yes, that's the whole point.
I can easily see this as being a really fun film to watch with friends and with drinks.
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Play a drinking game every time Zooey Deschanel makes a face where she looks sad, or every time the friend gets angry at her, or every time Mark Wahlberg says anything.
Anytime anyone says happening,
Well, that's not a drinking game. That's suicide.
Every time someone kills themselves.
Jumps in front of a
You'd be
lawnmower.
absolutely pissed. What was the most inventive way someone killed
The
themselves?
lawnmower. Come on.
And
that
then
was
the
pretty
lawnmower
cool.
looked pretty gruesome.
That was gas. Movie's fucking great.
Well, I don't get why they were all still watching it. They knew that essentially when that guy was putting the lawnmower scenes, like, you know, that place was active or whatever, that, like, you know, he was being effective. Yet a good few of them stood there and watched before moving on. Like, would you not be able to say, okay, that man's gone crazy, we best get out of here?
I think that's something in human nature, like the whole rubbernecking thing, though, of like you see a car crash and people like always try to look back.
These are the same people who stayed in the house with a fucking crazy lady and only, like, afterwards she started screaming at them, maybe we need to get out of here.
I would have loved to sit in on the editing process. I would have loved to. First of all, I would have loved to hear what I'm assuming was the editor begging fucking M. Night to cut stuff. Can we not cut the fucking hot dog scene?
Oh, no,
Can we not
There- it
trim
felt
down
like
the
there
bit
was
where the
more
soldier gives his life story?
Well, not fair, it's not too bad. It's only like 90 minutes long. It's not actually the longest film in the world.
It just feels like
It
the
just
longest.
feels-
They went
well,
through
it
me like
feels
that. I
very-
Yeah.
loved every second.
I would definitely recommend this as a good bad movie, but obviously don't watch it on your own.
I watched it.
I think that's the problem. I watched it on my own, and it wasn't enjoyable. It was I just
it
felt
wasn't
like
too bad because I watched it.
yeah,
long.
it was more
I
felt like
loved it.
I have to watch this film because I have to review it. Whereas I agree, like if I was watching, let's say, with a group of people and we're watching it just for the shits and giggles.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
thing is you can't say that it's not well paced. It is like one scene. It is like one classic scene after another, right?
Yeah,
Or
there's loads of quotable shit in it, like loads.
there isn't.
Quotable.
Yes.
Oh, there's
Go on.
loads of quotable stuff.
What?
Superfluous cop
Cough
syrup.
syrup. Hot
dogs.
dogs have a cool shape.
What?
We're not
They-
assholes.
that-
Yeah.
That scene where he makes that joke is probably about the pharmacist and chatting her up because she was good looking and he didn't even have a cough. That is the most humorous scene in the whole thing.
I think he was talking to her.
Yeah, and they're talking, and then
Yeah,
he's like,
talking
"What's
to her
wrong with me?"
friends.
That like they were funny, but
Do you reckon that was actually like not even that last bit where he's like, I'm talking to a plastic plant? They just left the camera rolling after Mark Wahlberg was done. saying
No,
his bits.
no, that
See,
was cards.
there-
Thing.
there-
The whole calling the student, what did he call him, a jerk or something or other? That was improvised. He literally called his student something that you really shouldn't be calling a student. Dumbass.
but see again, I can't. I just couldn't. The minute that it even started, because I didn't read anything about this film. All I'd seen was the cover with him and Zooey Deschanel, like sitting somewhere, like looking all shocked or whatever. It was on the front cover, and it started, and I was like, "Sorry, he's a teacher. Sorry, what?" And Siobhan was laughing at me because she doesn't know who he is, but I was like, "No, I can't buy him as this."
There aren't 2 minutes that goes by in this movie without something really stupid and weird
I
happening.
know, it's so
And
good.
that's really all you can ask from a good bad movie.
Exactly. It's fucking amazing.
So, moving on to our last film of this episode. It is the first Sex and the City movie. Gloria, tell us all about it.
Okay, so basically this is just like a continuation to the series, which was like, I think it was 6 series of Sex and the City, and it's about these 4 women who are best friends who live in New York City and all have various different relationship problems and talk to each other about it. And in this movie, the main character, Carrie, and her boyfriend, on again, off again boyfriend through the whole series, decide they're going to get married, and then he leaves her at the altar. And then it's just about like how she gets over that and their friendship with the other women and their relationship problems with their men. And the only one who doesn't have any hurdles to cross in this movie is Charlotte. And it's very long, but it's kind of more like a nod to the series rather than like a standalone film.
I was disappointed. I was hoping for something to laugh at. What I got instead was a really long TV movie about nothing.
I agree. Like, it felt like I was going through the motions with so much fucking padding. So much padding.
So the only reason this movie has a plot is because Mr. Big finally agrees to the wedding, and then the only reason there's a second act is because he pulls out. Not that kind of bullet. He refuses to get out of the limo, so the wedding doesn't go ahead, and blah blah blah. And then the only reason there's a resolution is because he just decides to, fuck it.
But if you watch the series, right?
So the movie
I'm not saying
is about nothing.
she is never wrong, and like she dates lots of men, not just Mr. Big in the series. There's a few different other men. There's Aiden and Alexander Petrovsky. They were big characters as well in the series, but Big is like the main guy that she sees on again, off again. And every time that they have a relationship hurdle, it's he can't get over something, or he did something, or whatever, and then he has to get over it, and then she has to forgive him. So that just they just rinse repeat that pattern for the movie.
It's a very unhealthy relationship.
Oh,
but
very.
As far as the movie goes, there isn't anything more to the story than Mr. Big gets cold feet over the wedding, and then eventually doesn't, and then they make up again.
He's right.
And they get married.
He gets cold feet over a big wedding,
and nobody learns anything. And that's all the movie is about.
But Fitzy is exactly right though, because it went very fast, blah blah blah, wedding, and then I knew at some point there was going to be a conflict because they were only about half an hour in, and then after that, I think it was Karen who was like, "This movie is over 2 hours," and I was like, "What? We're already at?" I thought there was just going to be a quick montage of them being sad and then realize they love each other. No. They go to Mexico. We deal with the ginger one being a cook. And we deal with Samantha being fucking mental. There's so
okay, wait a
happening.
second. I need to argue this with you. Samantha was not mental. Smith had no time for her. He was meant to be at home on Valentine's Day, to do something with her. She had gone to the effort to try and surprise him, and he was over 4 hours late.
He was working. It's not like he was out
don't
drinking
give
with
a
the
shit.
lads.
It don't give a shit.
Sorry, I'm making
he
money
was
for you.
he was always working, and he has more than enough money. It's not like he is a guy who only has to work 2 jobs so that they can put food on the table. He could have just said, "Sorry, I'm going home," and all he brought her home was chocolates. And then he didn't even understand why she was upset. No, Richard, he was wrong.
No, he wasn't.
No, he
She was
should
a
have
spoiled
said.
bitch.
He should have come home with a better apology, or at least realised why she might be upset, and then been like, "Oh, look, I'm really sorry. I didn't know you went to all that effort," or something other than, "Oh, great, you made some sushi." I would have fucked it at his head.
Jeez, yeah, they tried so hard to write it to make it sound like he was the bad guy. Oh, you made sushi, big.
I'm not saying she's not doing anything bad. She's eyeing up the neighbour the whole time. But I'm just saying, in that situation, when you called her crazy, she wasn't being crazy. That was a fair enough point.
Yeah, no, she's kind of a
I'll wait till you do it to Heather someday and we'll see.
Kind of a cunt.
Or something other than, "Oh, great, you made some sushi." I would have fucked it at his head.
Jeez, yeah, they tried so hard to write it to make it sound like he was the bad guy. Oh, you made sushi, big.
I'm not saying she's not doing anything bad. She's eyeing up the neighbour the whole time. But I'm just saying, in that situation, when you called her crazy, she wasn't being crazy. That was a fair enough point.
Yeah, no, she's kind of a
I'll wait till you do it to Heather someday and we'll see.
Kind of a cunt. But this is meant to be a comedy, isn't it? There aren't really many funny jokes.
Charlotte shit herself.
Yeah,
It's kind of dramedy.
Oh, that was
Oh
brilliant.
god, lads, I don't know. This film, it's one long pointless detour. Everything is in the exact same place as it was in the beginning of the movie.
No, Samantha is not with Smith
Oh,
when
come on,
it
but
ends.
I haven't seen the series, and is he anything more than just a background sort of comedy character?
He is like...
Oh, come on,
He
he
helped-
couldn't be a major character.
He supports
He has like 10 lines in the movie.
He supports Samantha through cancer. He's the only person she's ever stayed in a relationship with for a long time, being monogamous to. He is a big deal that she settles down with someone, because she's not like that. She doesn't settle down with people. She usually just sleeps around and blows people that come into her office and all this kind of mad stuff. She's not, settle down relationship type of person. So he actually is a big deal. And it was actually very sad the first time I watched that movie to watch that scene where were breaking up.
Oh, you knew they were getting
Okay,
back
so
together.
No, we don't. Don't go back.
No,
together.
Smith and Samantha.
Oh, that no.
Okay, so in a subplot,
I
a
see. I think
secondary character breaks up with another secondary character. Come on, it's still 90% the same.
Yeah,
as
but
what
see,
it
And it was a
is.
bullshit reason.
I think there's a big difference between the three of us who've never seen the movie or never seen.
Yeah,
any of
you
the
don't have
series.
any relationship
Whereas-
with the characters.
This isn't
Glow
like-
has a big relationship to all the characters and all the relationships and who they
I
have.
feel like
over
I'm
the
seeing a
years.
really sort of atrophied version of the series because these
The
don't. feel-
series is way better than
These
the
don't
movies.
feel like characters that have changed over the course of 8 seasons or whatever.
They-
These feel like really, and I don't know, I'm just guessing here, they feel like what are probably like stale sort of caricature versions of their...
Yeah, the book
the TV
or
show.
the movies are not anywhere near as good as the series. And the series, even though there's a lot of sex and there's a lot of relationships about men and there's a lot of fashion, it's actually the core values of the TV show is about the female friendships, the four women. And that's what I mostly, when I watched it, because the first time I watched Sex and the City, I hadn't had sex, so that's what I resonated with.
And did the fans of the series like it?
Well, my mum watched Sex and the City and she liked the movie. I'm not saying she went, oh, well, this is the best movie I've ever seen. But they, the scene where Charlotte shits herself, the scene where, like, Samantha's, like, telling Miranda that she needs to wax and... all those funny scenes when Samantha says to your man, my dog ran up on your dick instead of your deck, those bits made the fans of the show keel over laughing. I went to a full cinema and everybody from all those bits were laughing their holes off.
Can I just ask real quick, was the reason Charlotte shits herself because she drunk a mouthful of
No,
water?
she
Okay.
only ate pudding because, sorry,
I thought this
Charlotte is very prim and proper
and
and she's very judgmental in lots of ways, even though she's quite a kind person, but she's very judgmental. And she was in Mexico, so she thought, I can't eat any of the food or, I'll get sick. So she was only eating the only sealed food, because the hotel did all fresh food. The only sealed food they had was these puddings.
Yeah.
So all she ate for about a week was chocolate pudding. So she shit herself because of that.
Was it because of that?
I
Yeah.
reckon in part because of that, like, it happened right after when she opened her mouth.
Yeah,
the
see, that's
water.
what I
Yeah,
was
it's always
thinking.
the running
Yeah, so
water.
It's
yeah.
kind of unclear, but then I was like, is that what they're going for here? She's in the shower and she opens her mouth and she might have swallowed some water,
Yeah, because she said like she forgot.
and then she instantly needs to. fucking
Yeah, but
take
she
a shit
thinks
because that's how it works.
She thinks it's because of the water. Because she
Right.
didn't get very much water in. That wouldn't have made her
Oh,
shit
but
herself.
it,
But she had gone for a run and done yoga as well. That would
Yeah.
mix all your tummy up if you've been eating pudding for a week.
The whole Miranda thing was fucked. Get back with your man because he's nice. But she cooked her, like, he has no excuse for that.
No, he doesn't. But lots of people get over infidelity, so that was
Okay.
one part of it. And he is a good guy in the series. He's a good guy and stuff. So, and Miranda is kind of mean to him a lot. In the
Alright.
series, she is. And I'm not saying that if I said this to Aiden that he should go out and cheat on me, but the sex scene they're having, and he's like, oh, don't come yet, come on, let's, whatever, he's trying to make it last longer.
This thing seems to have
And
a
she says, oh, let's just get it over with.
This thing just
If
seems to have
Aiden
something
said that,
with
I'd
people at
knee
work.
him.
Like, your man works too much, so it's like, okay to throw sushi at his head. Your one works too much, so it's okay to go out and cheat on her. Like,
No, I'm not
What's
saying.
wrong with people
I
at
didn't
work?
say it's okay for her to go out or for him to go out and cheat on her at all. I'm just saying, obviously there was issues there, and Miranda realised that, so that's why they decided to work on it, because they have a kid and all, and that lots of people do that.
So basically, it's the whole old-fashioned stay together for the kid thing. Even if your marriage is a shambles, you hate your man.
But maybe she realised that she'd rather forgive him and be with him than not have him over a silly mistake he made.
So silly mistake. It's a huge mistake.
I know, but not everybody. Like, do you know how many couples are still together after someone cheats, Richard?
Ugh, fuck that.
So many couples.
Cooks.
So that's just showing one part of like a relationship where someone cheated and they stayed together. Other movies show where someone cheated and they left.
I'll show you. Yeah.
So it was great. Yeah.
It was great.
Did you not find any of the bits humorous? Nothing.
Definitely not.
Oh, not really. Like it's just.
And I'm sorry, the shitting herself scene that's like the most like low.
Maybe if you know Charlotte, it's
if I'm
just
not gonna
funny.
laugh at it in
But I
American
know
Pie, I'm
Charlotte.
hardly gonna laugh at it in Sex and the City.
But like she just shat herself in front of her mates. Like
No, but the guy in American Pie who shits himself is different because he's a lad and it's a teenager and it's Charlotte. She's like so prim and proper. It's like the worst person it could ever happen to in a million years.
Sorry, I'm just not gonna laugh at anyone shitting themselves. It's like the easiest joke.
So if Richard shit himself right now, you wouldn't think it was
Of
funny.
course I wouldn't.
I would.
Really? Okay.
I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't laugh when he's there. I probably when he left the room, I would probably laugh. Although I think if one of us were to shit ourselves, I don't know why. But I just think all the bad things happened to you. I think it would be you.
that would be
Like earlier, right? We bought it's Karen's birthday. Happy birthday, Karen!
Thank you.
The three of us bought her a card and a present between us all, and the lads were writing the card, and Connor Committee is like, the card won't fit in the envelope.
Because it wouldn't.
It did.
You weren't there.
I
It didn't fit in. The
Didn't I
envelope.
get it? I got it in within like 2 minutes. Less, sorry, like in 30 seconds. The only thing that stopped me is the tears you made in the envelope trying to get it in the
Because
first
it wouldn't
place.
fit.
If the card came out of the envelope, it will fit back in.
So, if
It was like separate, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it
Yeah,
It
but
clearly
the
fit.
design.
I just don't know what way you were putting it in, but it fit. It's always you that this has happened to. So that's why I think you'd be the one to shit yourself.
and you'd laugh, is what I'm saying.
I wouldn't laugh into your face, but I'd definitely
I
laugh. I'd expect you to laugh if I shit myself. Other than Karen maybe being concerned that I'm on her bed, so I might shit the bed.
Like it all depends on the scenario. Like shitting yourself.
Come on, if
would
I
be
was
fucking
making
gas.
faces like Charlotte was, and I was like,
I don't know, I just kind of felt like they telegraphed it too early as well. Just like, oh, she's gonna poop the pants. Like all the jokes just felt very telegraphed. Also, one thing that really annoyed me in the beginning actually was just when they were just like the first 2 minutes. I was kind of like, oh, I know what exactly this was gonna be like when they were fucking in the apartments looking for apartments, and they was like, well, there's one out of your price range. I think this is gonna be the one he's gonna get, and he's gonna say, don't worry about it. As soon as how much can you afford it? I can afford it. Oh, so predictable.
And there's no real resolution.
Such movie bollocks.
There's no real resolution to Carrie's story. It's just a little contrived thing in the last 10 minutes in which they both meet up and really quickly reconcile.
Well, they get married.
They don't work through anything. Yeah, they don't. Like, what's her name? The red-haired one and Steve.
Yeah.
Like, they have way more of a story than those two have. Like, they actually have to work through their problems.
but they
themselves.
have a stronger, through the whole series, even though, like, if you notice, what I notice in a lot of TV programs, okay, the main two people are always the on-again, off-again relationship where they break up all the time, they get back together all the time, and so I was like, oh, that's the relationship that everyone should want. Rachel, I know you don't like Friends, but Rachel and Ross in Friends is like the ultimate example of this. They're constantly breaking up, they're constantly getting back together, but everyone wants to be the Rachel to some fella's Ross. Whereas actually the more stable relationship in that program is Monica and Chandler. And from the minute they get together, from the minute that the show ends, they are together as one unit. This, like, Miranda and Steve are the Monica and Chandler of Sex and the City. They're actually the stronger couple. They're actually gone through
No,
more.
they're not.
But,
The
okay,
strongest couple is Charlotte and Pitbull.
but here's the thing.
Because they
I'm not-
never fight. They never cheat each other.
I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
actually-
they never fight. That's not realistic. So
I'm
that's
not
just a
actually-
fairy tale relationship.
I'm not actually talking about the fact that they break up or get back together or whatever. I'm
Yeah,
talking
but
about I'm talking about how it happens.
Yeah, but they never resolve anything.
Well-
like, even in Friends, they never actually, like, and in How I Met Your Mother, there's a bunch of ones I can name. The main characters never actually resolve their issues. They just have a kiss at the end of the
Because-
series and they
because
get back
you need them to
together.
have issues for the next film. But like the whole ending there was
But they
like,
don't-
you know, you had the whole Cinderella thing. Oh, she was reading Cinderella, said fairy tales like this aren't real. But then at the end of it, he gets down on one knee and puts the whole
Yeah.
slipper on her, and there you go, fairy tale happily
But
ever
if you
after.
think about it, there isn't really that many issues that they have in the film. Like,
You would see again.
What's the Red Hair character?
Again, most people who watch this have the backstory of the 6 series previous and know all of their issues. They mention a bunch of times all the stuff he's put me through the last 10 years.
You're not understanding
all this kind of stuff. They mention it loads. They allude to the previous shit that he's done loads.
So what you're saying is they've done so much story in the series that they don't need to do any in the film?
No, I'm just saying
See,
that
I don't think you're getting me. I have to stop saying the red hair character. Is it Miranda?
Yeah.
Miranda and Steve have a bunch of dramatic scenes together. Carrie and Mr. Big have a couple of really brief ones. Like, do you get what I'm saying? There's no story here.
Yeah,
they break up.
I get, but I'm trying to...
There's no drama.
I'm trying to explain that that's very similar to the series of where they were on again, off again, and it's actually similar. If you watch a lot of programs, it's similar to a lot of the main characters have these on again, off again relationships where no issues ever get solved, but they never actually talk about their problems, and they just magically get back together, and then a couple of months later down the line they're broken up again, or they have another fight, or they're on the brink of breaking up again. Whereas there's always a characters that they go through stuff like Miranda and Steve, but it seems more real, it seems more genuine. They might be going through a hard time, but they actually seem to resolve their issues.
Okay. But you get what I'm saying? I'm just saying this is an unacceptably thin storyline for a film.
For a 2-hour film.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's essentially a triple special of a Sex and the City episode.
Yeah, it's just meant like...
Why wasn't it a 3-parter? Why didn't HBO fund the money into like a Sopranos movie?
I bet you they made money though.
I don't have the budget of the box office written down.
Well, I bet you they made money.
Well, they did because they made a second one.
Must have.
And then that kind of killed the franchise, didn't it?
Well, apparently there's a couple of different things going around about why there isn't a second one. Kim Cattrall says... third one. Kim Cattrall says she's never been asked to do a third one, but the others say that she was asked to do it, that they were all asked to do, and she refuses to do it, and that she's been a diva.
Right.
Hey, at least she's not married to a murderer like Sarah Jessica Parker. Okay.
So Sex and the City made $415.2 million US, and its budget was $65 million. So it made money.
Okay, so guys, what was your least favourite and favourite film this time?
Who are we starting with?
I'm gonna say my favourite was WALL-E, obviously, and my least favourite was Sex and the City. Richard?
My favourite was The Happening. And my least favourite, it probably would have been The Rogue, but The Rogue was only 90 minutes, where Sex and the City was 5 years of just the most fucking motions plot, so I'm going to give it to Sex and the City for making me older.
My favourite was probably WALL-E because it's only the second time I've seen it, where I've seen Sex and the City a bunch of times and stuff. And my least favourite was The Rogue.
It's just Rogue.
Rogue, whatever.
Rogue
he
one.
said The Rogue and I thought I'd said it wrong. So Rogue was... I didn't find it scary. I didn't find it hard. I just found it boring.
The only one I liked was WALL-E. Being perfect.
But what is the worst one? So Sex and the City, The Happening, or
I
Rogue?
don't. If I could watch The Happening, like, you know, for the first time again with like a group of friends and knowing I could just laugh my whole off at it, might be decent. Sex and the City was just so long and so pointless. I think Sex and the City.
Right, so Sex and the City was the worst one.
Sex and the
Sorry,
City,
guys. I do like to torture you, though.
So that about does us for another episode. Thank you very much for listening. I'm sure we will be back soon enough. But until then, it's goodbye from me, Connor Geary.
Bye for me, Ricky Travers.
Goodbye for me, Karen O'Sullivan.
And bye from me, Glow.
Glow.
Glow.